Hey Lara, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. What's on your mind this morning?
Well, I don't know if you can see in the background. We've started slowly getting out Christmas decorations, and can I
Hey,
tell you, this has been like my message to people recently that if you don't feel like the holiday season is here or you're starting to feel like overwhelmed about it because you feel like it's going to pass you by or something, just start getting like a tub or two of Christmas decorations out because I kind of had to force ourselves this year. And I came to two realizations. One, like just do it because as soon as you do, you instantly are like motivated to start thinking about shopping and stuff. So that's helped me. And two, I've realized I don't really like decorating for Christmas. I like my home decorated for Christmas, but I don't like the act of decorating. And so it sounds weird to say you have to force yourself to decorate because it should be like warm and cozy, but it's the afterwards that you love. So just get it out of the way and then enjoy the season. So,
that's good. That's
yeah.
good. That kind, I don't know, that kind of reminded me kind of what's been on my brain. I have been, you know how like you and I have whatever, how many years ago, a decade ago, we came up with our Live It list,
Mm-hmm.
starting January 1, and we would hit the ground running. And by the time spring came, during those, months that were kind of the funk, instead of going, you know, we have nothing to show for it, we had all the stuff to show for it. I was just like, I recently reread a book I've read a couple different times. The name of the book is Essentialism, and there is one chapter in there he talks I think the title of it is buffer, creating buffers in your life and to help you really protect the essential things in your life. And so I just was thinking, okay, Christmas can be in the past, a lot of times Christmas was stressful time of the year for me, and I didn't really enjoy it. When my girls were little, I wanted to do all the cool stuff that you would see. We didn't have Pinterest back then, but you know, or maybe there was Pinterest, but I wasn't on it. The Advent candle and the all this cool stuff. And we want to take our kids and do all this stuff. And then I was always getting Christmas cards, like getting pictures taken in, like I wouldn't think of it until, I'd get the pictures taken in October and then get the cards. And it would be literally December 20th, the evening of. And it's like, if I don't get them in the mail tomorrow, they're not going to get them before Christmas. This is probably about almost 10 years ago where I was like, I am not doing Christmas cards. And because it was just like so stressful, and it's like I'm totally missing the whole purpose of the season. So
Yeah.
after reading Essentialism and seeing that chapter on buffer, I was like, okay, because I was starting to feel like a little bit of the stress of the holidays. I am like gonna do the reverse. I don't know if it's a reverse, but I'm gonna do the same concept of the Live It list, but starting now to the end of the year. Like, how much can I get? And it's just like when for me, it's a total psychological shift. Like now it's a game, and our brains
Yes,
love games. That's the whole dopamine. They love,
totally.
you can get, your timed task, Laura, that you do, setting the
Mm-hmm.
timer, and for 5 minutes, I got to do a task. And what starts off as
So
5 minutes. Yeah.
is it like, because this is a new thing that I started this fall on Fridays? I would always, I think most people just feel so exhausted from the week. But I have told myself on Fridays, what can I do today so my weekend is relaxing? And that always is a huge boost of energy because then it's like, okay, I've got until 5 o'clock. Whereas normally, or 6 o'clock, whatever, normally I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. And then I'm gonna kick my feet up because it's a Friday. But instead, if you're like, well, whatever I do tonight, then Saturday when I wake up, if it's a clean house or if I have all my laundry done. So is that kind of what you're saying with the Christmas stuff? Like what can I do now? And then you can really just enjoy
Yeah.
with every day closer to the holiday, you can enjoy it more and more because you have so many of the things taken care of. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And well, one of the things he talked about, this book talks about what are like finding the things in your life that are the essentials, holding on to the essentials and letting go of, and there's just a few, he calls them vital essentials, and all the non-essentials that we do, even in entertainment. And like, I'm all for entertainment. And we've got Laura, you and I someday will have to do our sacred pace, maybe series or whatever, in just learning how to get a sacred rhythm of rest is something that's really important, and you charging your batteries. But a lot of times I'll speak for myself. I can spend time rest doing things that's kind of like the version of, I don't know, I'd say, like nutritionally, what's better for you, eating the cotton candy or eating the spinach, and granted, like when you're resting, you want to do things that are going to, feed your soul and stuff. But sometimes we can spend our downtime doing stuff that when we get done with it, yeah, maybe in the moment it felt good, but then when we got done, it's like, that really didn't bring me rest. Now I don't know, maybe regretting it. And so it's just been about like just being really intentional with like, how can I get some things done now and work on closure. You and I talked about that. I don't know if you podcast back about getting closure, bringing closure to because anytime you have things that are not, we have things that we don't have closure in, it leaves us, we've got a foot in the past and we cannot fully, pursue the things in the future. So, yeah, so I am like, okay, what are things that are going to give me like kind of the head start on the next year, like things that I can wrap up instead of putting them off. So that's
maybe that needs to be our podcast topic for today. I know we didn't plan on talking about this, but maybe we need to just have like an action step to wrap this up. Like, I think people would hear this and be like, I'm ready to hit the ground running. What can I do? I know I would.
Okay.
But really thinking about what could you do today? What are things that you already know that you're going to have to do that you could do now when maybe you have the extra time or energy versus, I know for us, the closer we get to Christmas, just the more crammed your schedules get. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get the gift for this person and I need to make that. And surprisingly, there's a lot of that stuff that can be done way ahead of time, buying gift cards for people or, filling out addresses.
You know what, Laura, that is one of the things that I did. Like, and like you and I are always saying this, we don't want to put a monkey on somebody's back. So if you hear us, Laura and I, talking about doing something and you don't do it and you don't feel called to do it, don't do it. It's kind of like in algebra, how there's the X and like you put your number in there, whatever it is, you put your activity, whatever it is. So I guess I'll start off with that. But one of the things I wanted to do is give, the girls as teachers a little card. And last year I had the craziest, busiest year of my life, just helping my parents do some stuff. And I had zero bandwidth. And I felt horrible, but I did not even get cards out to the teachers. And it was like the first year I never, ever had done that. And so this year I'm like, I'm getting them cards. They're getting them on Friday. That's the plan. I've got them in the envelope. This Friday. And it's like, what can I do so it's kind of like, Laura, it's kind of like,
great idea.
We could encourage those of you who are watching, like, if you're one of those people who likes to set resolutions or goals or whatever it is, which I think is a good thing. It's a powerful thing. Every year, kind of reviewing the year, the year we're finishing up. And then what are you doing to look forward to the year? And what if we did that now? Today's the 8th, November the 8th. What if you started your like resolutions, if you will, and maybe it's resolutions for like, how do I want to close out this year instead of thinking of, the goals for, and definitely think of the goals for 2024, but how do you want to finish out 2023 strong? So maybe that's what this is about, finishing strong this year.
That is so true. Because when you look at it that way, it's like you may not even have the same resolutions on January 1st because look, you have a whole what almost 2 months to kind of attack something. I mean, think about if you're like, I want to get healthier. Well, if you make healthier decisions between now and Christmas, by January, you might be like, I'm feeling really good. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to focus on something else. I
Yeah.
love that.
Well, and Laura, you know, with talking about healthy, most people aren't thinking in November about, they're thinking, okay, I'll, you know, just
Right, yeah.
trying to be realistic and being appropriate in the moment. Is now the time to start a diet? Well, you know, I'm going to let people determine that. But if you're
Yeah.
talking low hanging fruit, totally doable. If you're thinking, no, I'm going to start this strict, no processed foods, no, and you're accustomed to eating, you know, sweets and candy and all that kind of stuff. You starting a no processed foods today is probably a recipe. I mean, unless you're very motivated or maybe you're very inspired, maybe you've got a reason, a very powerful reason why. But for most people, it's going to be a fail. But what if you started a low hanging fruit? I'm just going to be faithful and getting whatever, 2 glasses of water a day or eating one piece of fruit a day. So,
yeah. Well, and then I think too, a lot of times we already kind of know what we say our New Year's resolutions are going to be, and it gives us the excuse to be crummy up until then. I think so many people want to change health things because they've allowed themselves to overindulge during the holidays and they feel terrible.
yeah.
Well, you could like honestly eliminate that whole thing if you're like, I am going to indulge, but I'm just going to eat half of what I normally do. Or,
Yeah.
you know, and then I'm actually going to feel good in my own skin during the holidays. So it's all about kind of backing up, you know.
Totally.
Yeah, I think
Totally.
there's a lot to think about. I'm kind of like taking notes as we're talking here.
Well, you know what? How about if we do this? How about if we, per your great idea, I love that. Just, you know, this wasn't our original plan. How about if we go through the 8 domains and you and I will have to just think quick, think on our feet.
Okay.
We'll give examples of things we could do in all the domains just to get people kind of thinking and on what they can do to finish the year strong. And like you said, it'll help you finish the year, and then that will help you in effect. That will also help you, or in turn, that will help you, you know, when you get to the closer to the end of the year to really set really powerful goals for 2024. So, I do have to say something first before we get into this, Laura. So two podcasts ago, as we were talking about a new framework. We pretty much came up with on the fly as we were recording. It was we talked about hope and joy, and you had said, I went back and watched the podcast, and the way you said it, I think, is you talked about having joy in the anticipation, like when you're looking into the future, and relish in the now. And I was like, I have used that framework, our framework of looking into the future and having the joy and the hope that you have, but then also having like enjoying the moment. And anytime I feel myself going like kind of going off track a little bit, I have paused and I've gone back to that framework. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
I have too, actually. It was good to like surface that conversation and kind of see it in that light, because I've caught myself just like, wow, that's exciting, but like, wow, this moment's so great too. You know, like you're kind of in both, and just I feel like that's such a sweet spot to be in.
Oh, it is great. So it's like yesterday, my car said it was 86 degrees. I'm loving the heat. You know, you and I both like heat. And so I've been taking my dog Buddy for walks, and it has that sense, you know, that sense of spring in the air. There's just a certain smell. It kind of smells like, you know, when the earth kind of unthaws and new life is, you know, and it's kind of a little bit of the musty leaves and whatever in the grass that's coming up. And it's just a good nostalgia. I don't know if nostalgic is a word, but a good smell. And when I smell that, there's something that kind of initially brings regret, like, because I'm always so sad to see summer go. Always so sad. And I just had to go like, no, Robin, no, 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 no. You've got 5 months, which is kind of a time of rest and recalibrate. But also, I've got some projects I'm really excited about, personal projects and some stuff
Yeah.
that you and I are working on that I would not want to be doing it in the middle of summer when the days are long. I want to be outside the crack of dawn. I want to stay outside. I mean, to me, those are two of the most beautiful times of the day, early morning and right before, dawn and dusk. And so anyway,
Yeah.
that framework has been good. So, okay, let's dive into, spiritually. That is the first domain we usually talk about. So how can we kind of finish up the year strong? Do you have anything off the top of your head?
I don't I don't know if this would count. I think so. Like I'm just trying during the day when I catch myself like feeling kind of negative about something, I'm rephrasing it in a way like, Lord, I'm so thankful for this person, what they've brought into my life. Like, like if I feel anxious about something or like I'm questioning something about a situation, I try to just like flip it and like I guess say a positive affirmation like to God about that. And
Yeah.
that's been something that I've recently been doing and I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Versus like saying like, God, I'm really struggling with this situation. It's really making me upset. Like not even focusing on those negative words, but really focusing on the positive in the situation. Like, but this person brings goodness to the world, and really just speaking life into it. So that's maybe my spiritual.
Yeah, no, that's good. When you were talking about, being thankful and that totally goes along with November. That, a lot of times
Yeah.
we're thinking about, gratitude, challenges, and, Carly challenge,
Yeah.
just being grateful and, daily. So, and I
And what
think,
I always say on last year I started this thing on the Eleanor Way on my social media platforms instead of Thanksgiving, make it grace giving. So I always say happy grace giving because like a lot of times during the holidays, it is easy to kind of be, not as graceful if you burn the turkey or you're stressed about like there is stress in the holidays. And so just like instead of maybe giving thanks or saying that you're thankful, like showing that you're really gracious to your spouse or just in the little things,
yeah.
just throughout the day. So that's something too, kind of
That's good.
unrelated.
And just over the holidays, we can get stressed out. And so just every day being intentional of how can you give grace to other people and how can you be thankful to God for what he's given. I'll add one more thing and then we can move on to personal. I think this is a great time of year to just do soul searching and reflect. There's a verse, Lamentations 3:40 that says, let us examine our ways and test them and let us return to the Lord. So, it's always good for us to recalibrate and go, where have I gotten off? Give repentance where repentance is needed. If there is maybe a relationship that's been strained or maybe, that you need to reconnect on, you can do that. So, just kind of soul searching and seeing, just asking God to show you anything, any areas where you're off. So that's spiritual. Personal. So personal are those mindsets, those habits that we have. And also, we'll start there. Any, personal growth that you have. So how do you have anything that comes up, comes to personal?
I don't know.
I'll jump in.
Yeah,
So
go
for
ahead.
personal, what I was starting with, getting things done and in place, like I think the gift cards that could probably definitely fall under the category of people, but it also, I think falls under like, what are your, to me, personal, also includes, it's kind of like the logistics of you running your household, your finances, your whatever.
I think it's what we said earlier in this podcast. Really,
Yes.
I mean, if we're being specific to the season, it would
Yeah.
definitely be like you said, you're doing the cards this week. You're trying to do as many essentials now so you can really enjoy, the the downtimes of the holiday versus cramming everything at the end.
Yeah. And if there is, I would also say, when along the lines of personal growth, if you're, maybe you're seeing like, oh, I really need to grow in a certain area. Maybe it's in communication, or maybe it's in emotional intelligence, or maybe whatever. I mean, I guess this can also go along the lines of spiritual, but when you're assessing like what areas do I want to grow in? I realize now in the beginning of Christmas season isn't the time to go deep dive because my mind's focused on other stuff, but I can start getting books or tools, whatever, so that when January comes or whenever I'm going to start doing that, I'm ready to go. I've got my tools and I'm ready to go. So like for me, one of the things I'm doing, and I was thinking of this yesterday when I was in the store and I forgot to do it, but I like to get my personal, like my calendar. What do you do do you do calendars? Do you do, is it all digital, or how do you? Yeah.
I actually do both, but yes, like my daily is one that I just,
yeah. So that's something that people can start doing, is get that, because otherwise you wait till the end of the year, they're out, and now you're frustrated because you can't start. So maybe it's getting your planning system for January. Physically, that's real. People usually can think of things that they want to do, but how can, Laura, I think that was great what you said. Like, how about if instead of writing out, I'm sure there's like, I had been in this boat so many times, like at this point in the year, I feel like defeated. And it's like going into the Christmas season, it's like, I'm not starting something now. And so you kind of maybe write out the year like, man, I didn't reach my goals. Well, what if from now until we're talking a little under 60 days, what if you could just move the needle? What if you could make a 1% change, or, 1% change every single day? Man, that'd be, 50 some percent change. So maybe it's and I would say pick the thing that's going to be most impactful for you. So for one person, I might be eating the fruit, or maybe another person is like, I'm going to try to get X amount of protein a day. But pick something that is going to be meaningful, impactful for you, something that you can scale.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
No, good.
And maybe even like, what can you do to move your body a little bit more? Maybe it's starting out, maybe it's 5 minutes in the morning when you get up doing squats or lunges or stretches or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, even just 10 push-ups every night.
Yes.
It's amazing what that will do.
Yeah. And if you're thinking, oh my goodness, 10 push-ups, I couldn't do that, do one on your knees.
Yeah.
Do modified versions. So anyway.
Exactly.
That is physically. Family. What do you think in family?
Well, I just know for us, December is actually the busiest month of the year for us with our family schedule, because we have a kid in high school and junior high. So we'll have 4 basketball games a week. Yeah. So I have to kind of mentally just prepare for that, because you think of like, oh, the holidays, spending so much time with family, but I'm kind of gearing up for where are we going to spend quality time, because I know we're not going to have those evening dinners together. So again, like really protecting the Sundays, or like little other areas, and really making sure those are extremely protected, which means we may have to pass up some other Christmas activities and stuff just to make sure we're still coming together. But that's definitely on my mind, because I always have to gear up for just the lack of being together all in one room. Yeah.
Well, and what's coming to my mind is kind of making the mental list, taking like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it takes you to go, okay, what are the essentials? Like, what are the essentials? This is like, these are non-negotiables. Get those down on paper. And then what are the non-essentials? And like, I think a lot of times we don't even question our expectations. They're expectations that we've picked up, and maybe we saw somebody else doing them, and then we have monkey on our back, and nobody else told us to do it, but we think we need to do it because everybody else is doing it. And who knows, maybe maybe they're walking around doing that going, oh, I don't like doing this at all. And so just being true to what are your essentials and then starting there. And maybe is there maybe some non-essentials that you can let go of and
Right.
just focusing on the essentials in your family. So what is that? Is that like we got to sit down and have meals whenever we can? And I realize when you've got kids traveling and stuff, that's not always possible, but maybe it's Sunday, we're going to have Sunday
Yeah.
lunch or whatever. So determine your essentials. That's what I'm going to say.
Essentials.
So, okay. Professionally, professionally.
So one thing that I did actually just yesterday is I'm learning that I can't do the same like checklist system for too long or it becomes white noise for me. So I
Yep.
go from like writing on a piece of paper to maybe putting it in a paper calendar to something else. But yesterday I made a new thing and it basically lists off the things that professionally I want to do every single day versus me like writing it down in my calendar. So then that way it was just like a copy paste because I mean, when you think about it, we do a lot of the same tasks every day. Like if you
Yeah.
want to do whatever, make sure you answer your email or you want to do social media outreach or whatever it is. And for me, it would be consistent in like creating a video and then sharing it or whatever. So that's something that I'm hoping will carry me through a new way, like a fresh way to double or check off what I need to do every day versus kind of scrambling. Because what I was doing, I think the newness wore off, and then I was forgetting things for accountability. So
That's good. That's good.
yeah. You want to
Um,
do financial or
yeah. Financial, maybe it is this, maybe it's sitting down and this is one of the things, you know, a lot of times, it's so easy this time of year, especially if you're super busy, not to be like you're like, when it comes to gift giving, like you have no rhyme or reason what you're giving. I mean, like the time comes and it's like, I got to give Aunt whatever, you know, Millie a gift. And so what do we do? So just sitting down and maybe doing this, like, you know, great place to do this. You're sitting at the game, waiting for the game to start. And it's like, you've got time on your hands and you can get on social media, which I'm not, you know, not throwing shade to that, but why not maybe get your list going? Okay, what are we going to do? What is, you know, what's going to be staying within our means? Like, how are we going to do gifts? What are we going to do? And so just kind of coming up with a game plan. And it doesn't have to be super, like for some people are really, they love they want to know every single person, but for some people, all they need, that would totally overwhelm them. So maybe it's just coming up with a general plan. I'm giving gift cards. So I don't know exactly what the gift cards are, but maybe it's starting there, you know? So that's
yeah.
what I would say. Just kind of coming up with a game plan for the rest of the year. What's going to be a way that's going to bring you peace come January 1.
Yeah.
And then rest and recharge. Rest and recharge, you know, I am still like such a big believer in, and again, Laura, sometime when we do our Sacred Pace series, which I think we need to do that sometime, I don't know when, maybe that'll be next year. Have we talked about on here about how we I think we did, how we discovered the 5-minute power nap? I think we did. And that was
I think
probably
we did.
way at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But those have been total game changers when you are totally pressed for time and you don't have a whole lot of time, just getting away. And you might not be able to go lay down for 5 minutes. If you can do that, but taking the 5 big breaths, getting away, maybe it's going for a walk, getting out, getting some vitamin D, you know, that is really powerful. And so what would you say?
Yeah, I haven't felt the need to do it as much, but like I seem to have energy in the afternoon. I think I struggle more with that when the kids are here. Like I'll just feel like I don't have the bandwidth to kind of push through the afternoon and I need to just rest. So I'm not really doing that. I definitely feel like though I can just go nonstop the whole day, and it would probably be good to work in somewhere where I'm just like, even just sitting and like looking outside. I think then that would play into a lot of the things that we talked about today, for to have reflection and stuff just in the day where you're slowing your body down.
Yep. Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's the whole point. Slow your body. What's going to slow down your body and give your brain kind of or your body to catch up, or vice versa. Yeah. So and then the last domain is people. How are you going to be intentional? And this is going to really vary. All of these areas are going to be really specific to everyone and are going to vary. For some people, it's going to be, Laura, you and I have talked in the past about knowing being appropriate in the moment. And there's some knowing your stage and season of life, and some stages and seasons of life require that you make your world smaller. So it means like you eliminate a lot of maybe let's say non-essentials, or even some of them in the past. At times, maybe some of those things were essential, but in this stage and season of your life, they're non-essentials because you really need to focus. So, so it's really knowing your situation, and, maybe it's like, it's so easy to get task oriented during this time of the year and totally miss the whole purpose. It's really about people. It's not, so that might mean we have to put something aside. Like in my case, all of my great, I've got to do all this stuff. And I'm not telling people not to do Advent candles or Advent calendars, because if that brings you peace and that brings you joy, but if you're stressed and it's not giving you joy and you're doing all these things to check the box, maybe it's just time to maybe the first step is asking yourself, is this really even essential? And maybe this Christmas, you don't, completely eliminate it, but maybe it gives you a whole year to think about it and go, is that a tradition worth keeping? Or am I think that's a question, is asking what you're doing. Is it bringing life and is it giving peace? And like we always say, follow peace.
Yeah. That's a great way to end. Yes. Above all, in all the things that we discussed today.
Yep. So
does it bring you peace? Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yep. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.